What's something that women say to men that they don't realize is insulting? Story 1. I'm a technician. I work at a very large facility. Generally, we have our own bathrooms. One day our bathroom was closed, so I went next door. There were visiting children, and a facility staff member, not teacher, told me to make good choices. I thought that was a bit much myself. Story 2. Any type of comment that boils down to the guy being relationship-worthy but not hookup-worthy. You are basically saying they lack the looks, charism, sex appeal for you to want to sleep with them. In exchange, other traits or factors make them desirable. Typically, things like stability, safety, etc. are things specified, and all amount to things the guy gives you in exchange for you being with them, and it doesn't sound great or feel great to hear. Story 3. Why don't you have a girlfriend yet? In other words, what's wrong with you that's not immediately obvious? Because that's the only explanation for you not being paired up is that you have some kind of defect. Story 4. Oof. Was talking to my mother about how I don't want kids, and she told that she always thought I'd make a great stepdad. All you could think was great, so not good enough to be anyone's first choice, but good enough to be an inoffensive backup plan. That one stung. Story 5. I can't say women in my life have ever really unintentionally insulted me, so the premise of the question is questionable to me. Or at least, I don't perceive it as an issue. I have seen the phrase, "he's one of the good ones," being used a couple times online in women's spaces to refer to a man, which is exactly how racists talk about minorities they normally loathe. So that phrase in particular I would categorize as an insult, though of course it's rarely consciously intended to be. Story 6. One girl I really liked kept saying I was sweet, like 3 times on one date. It was a bummer for some reason. Made me feel beneath her. I was older than her with a solid career. She was unemployed. It later made sense when she gave me the whole "I'm not ready," aka didn't find me attractive. Even in her apartment I got a weird, distant vibe, so I didn't make any moves at all. It was just obvious she didn't really find me attractive. Story 7. The word just. Women use so many ways. The most common is to demean physical labor. My ex once said to me, "Can't you just move the furnace?" No, bitch. I cannot just re-engineer the entire house so you can have more closet space. While painting our bedroom with one arm in a sling, she asked me to paint an additional bathroom. I said no, hurts too much. She said, "I will just do it myself." Turns out painting was way more difficult than she imagined, and the bathroom looked like crap. 2 beautiful women that I knew were talking about guys in front of me, and referred to them as just plumbers and just electricians. Okay, waitresses who just happen to be pretty. I am careful as to how and when I say I am a single dad. I've been told too many times, "At least you are not a single mom." Gee, thanks. Story 8. Why aren't you doing for her? I don't know, my wife is independent, capable, and wanted to do she's doing. Typically it's painting, changing her oil, yard work, things that are traditionally mistaken as a man's responsibility. I'm not going to stop her if she wants to do it. Story 9. When I am at family functions and shit and do things that other men in my culture traditionally don't do at home, such as make tea and serve people, I do at BC. I am trying to help my family. All the middle-aged ladies say, "Oh, I wish I could just take you home," and shit like that. Imagine if I said that to a girl 25 years younger than me at a family event. Story 10. I remember one time my wife and I were celebrating a job she got, so I went out and got her some flowers, her favorite wine, and candies. While I was waiting in line, a random lady standing behind me said, "Someone's in trouble." To have the nerve to say this to someone infuriated me. Story 11. I'm a woman, but I think the way society degrades men and makes them instantly guilty of anything they're accused of, even after being proven innocent, is terrifying. I have 2 sons, and it's scary how people treat men. I remember before moving into our house, the maintenance person from our apartment used to tell my husband, "Won't be able to get out of child support with those kids, they look just like you." Story 12. Oh, you're babysitting today. Bitch, I planted that seed properly. I worked a shitty, incredibly physically demanding job because it paid well, and then came home and took care of her by telling she was the most beautiful girl in the world. Then I showed her what that meant. I told her I loved her and made her feel comfortable about her changing body. God, she was so fucking beautiful. I brought snacks and drinks, helped around the house. My motto was anything for pet name. I was there, holding her hand when she was in labor. When she shit herself, I pretended not to notice. When things went front row Gallagher, I got woozy but persevered. I cried with pure joy when he was born. Took care of both of them during the most crucial, vulnerable time. But today I'm babysitting? Fuck you, Karen. Story 13. The other day, when a female coworker was complaining about work drama, I was met with, "Why does nobody hate you? Like, why does everybody like you and not have a problem with you?" I've known her for about 7 years and had a huge crush on her, plus had been rejected by her multiple times. Crazy how that one sentence wiped away any bit of sadness I had over it, Lole. Story 14. Woman's perspective here. I absolutely despise double standards that men have to deal with. I have a husband that isn't traditionally masculine, I guess. He isn't a fan of handiwork, he doesn't drive, he isn't what you would think of a dominant one in the relationship personality-wise, and he isn't interested in sports. The amount of times women in my family took all of those for a laughing matter is disgusting. You need a man to depend on. And what do you mean he doesn't do XYZ that is so weird? Just makes me want to vomit. Men shouldn't feel the need to fit into a single archetype to be considered good enough. If it was the other way around, women would raise all the fuss. Oh, and my favorite joke that just makes me want to rip my hair out. "Oh, I guess your husband is married well, because he moved into my house and rides in my car instead of bringing me into his own cave like a real man would do." And the saddest part is that there are several older men in the family that embrace this joke and go with it. My heart honestly breaks for them. I won't allow my husband to ever feel like he owes me anything. It is pathetic. Story 15, I'm a woman. But it bothers me when both men and women joke about a man balding, but especially women because unless they have a hair loss disorder, like myself, they won't have to deal with hair thinning or balding until they're way older. I mainly don't like this because I also have a hair loss disorder and I just think it's so rude to point that out to someone. Don't talk about someone's appearance unless they can change it within 5 seconds. Story 16 recently overheard conversation between 2 of my good female friends about their husbands and men in general. You can't change them. They couldn't see my point when I raised this as sexism, but if the same thing was said of a woman I know, they would be outraged. Respect and acceptance should go both ways. Story 17. So I understand why women do this. And I know that they don't mean to sound insulting, but don't say "you know" when someone asks if said male friend is their boyfriend. Even if the guy doesn't want to date them, that's still fucking insulting AF. I remember I turned it around on the girl who said that to me, and the look of hurt and betrayal in her eyes said it all. I just told her, "See, how does it feel? Don't do that to me again." It's not even like I secretly wanted to date her or anything. I just thought, are you for real right now? So I'm that unappealing that you felt the need to knee-jerk respond "ew" to a question instead of just saying no? Story 18. This is one I've only noticed recently. But when women talk about how men have it so easy in dating, then you see comment after comment from women that's like, "I asked out like 3 guys and got rejected every time, so I never bothered ever again. IDK guys are just too picky/flaky/intimidated by strong women. If men were all that quick to give up, the human race would go extinct." Story 19. Anything at all that was meant to be hurtful. Doesn't matter if you are right or wrong. Doesn't matter if it landed or not. That person set out to hurt me, and that isn't how I treat the people I love, or anyone for that matter. People can become lost inside their feelings and can say things that they don't really mean. But if they can't have a discussion with you after the fact, they aren't someone that you need in your life. Story 22 of my friends asked me to take a picture of them. And I did, but I tilted the phone down right as the flash went off because I don't know the flash was on. They then said, "Oh my gosh, can we get a girl to take the picture?" For context, I can guarantee I know more about cameras and photography than anyone else at that party combined. I guess they probably do know more about taking pics for Snapchat though, if you know what I mean. Story 21. I just got a new job. This was my 3rd day. I work as a cashier in a supermarket that specializes in fresh products. The system they reference fresh fruits and vegetables is kind of nuts, but like 50% of the job is to recognize the fruits and vegetables and 50% is to know the reference code for the products. It's not an easy job, but it's not that hard either. They were legit surprised when I typed all the right codes on a 25 items test cart with a list given to me of all the ref codes for all the products. The lady who is training me is really nice, but is so amazed at how pro-efficient I am that she's complimenting me on everything, and it's starting to become irritating and kind of shameful. I know she doesn't mean it that way, but damn if I hear another "God job, wow, I'm so impressed." Every time I ask her to double check if I got a reference code right, I am going to lose my fucking mind. Story 22. The only time a woman insulted me was a coworker I invited to a party, and then she complained I was on foot. There she kept publicly making jokes about how I brought her there on foot, considering it was very close to her house, like a 10 minutes walk. I asked a friend to bring her home, which she gladly accepted, and I never talked to her again. I only use a car if I have to go farther than a mile. I live in a small town where there is no space to park. It's even a waste of time going out on a car. But that's car culture, I guess. Story 23. Other women used to call my husband skinny all the time. He was lean and had a ton of muscle, but not huge muscles. He was a rock climber and could pull himself up to an overhang with his fingertips on one hand. He often climbed 5.11 cracks, which is just your tiptoes and fingertips. He had an 8-pack, and women would just say it's because he's skinny, so it doesn't count. It was ridiculous and relentless. Just because he wasn't showing off what he could do or getting juiced, women somehow thought they could keep throwing around skinny. Story 24. My friends were having a girls' night, and they called me because they lived quite close, just 3 blocks away. I told them that I didn't want to intrude on their girls' night. They tried to reassure me that I wouldn't be intruding and would be welcome because, "You're like one of the girls." Thanks, I guess, / sigh. I know what they meant and why they called in the first place, but after that,